Last time I checked, I was still a kid. Childish, childish. This all freaks me out a bit. Childish, oh shit. How can I parent when I'm still a kid? Childish, oh shit. Who the hell decided I was ready for this?
Oh shit. It's me, Fitzy, a.k.a. Fitzdog, a.k.a. Spike Chavez, Greg Fitzsimmons.
And also Fruit.
They call me Fruit.
And it's also Alison Rosen, a.k.a. Barry. For
No
Rosen
other nicknames
Barry.
in your whole life?
Allie, the supervisor, and...
Wait,
you know,
what's the supervisor?
So when I played in the band, but no one, like, they didn't call me it all the time or anything, but they just said that I was like the supervisor because when we were on stage, I was the one who had an eye on like everything that was going on stage and was sort of, I wasn't like all the time lost in my music. I was like producing.
So they called you supervisor or control freak?
They called me supervisor, but they said it in a tone that suggested they meant control freak.
Well, look, they used to call Frank Sinatra the chairman of the board.
Yeah. Do you think that one was a snotty name?
I doubt it because all his musicians were black, and back then he was racist, so they all knew their place.
So this is not a nickname, but it's a term that my friends had. Have I ever told you about rosenating?
Rosenating? No.
Rosenating is it's like ruminating. It's like when you really overthink the shit out of something. And I always thought it was not a celebration of my tendency to do this. But then I moved away. I took the rosenating with me. And then I came back and I was talking to my friend who coined the term, and he was like, no, I thought it, and this might have even happened on a podcast where I found this out, unless he was lying, where he's like, no, I always have thought it was great the way you like to look at something from all sides. I feel like he was gaslighting me without even meaning to.
He was gaslighting, rosenating.
Yeah, and I've been rosenating on it ever since.
Do you know I've never gotten that expression? What does gaslighting mean?
So there was a movie, I believe, called Gaslight, where a husband wanted to make his wife think she was going crazy. So he would adjust the gas light. I don't even know what a gaslight is, but he would adjust the light on the gas or something. And then he would lie about doing it. And so he made her question her own perceptions because she thought it was like lower or higher. I'm making this up now, but it's essentially what happened, I believe. And then he would say, no, I haven't touched it. So then she's like, oh my God, I must be losing my mind. So that is what gaslighting is, when you make someone question their reality.
Really? Mm-hmm. Interesting. I'm glad I asked. It's one of those things you can go through many years of your life not understanding something and not asking.
Yeah.
And I make a vow to you that on this podcast, I will ask you anytime I don't understand something.
I love that. Do you watch Schitt's Creek at all?
I saw it once. Wasn't a fan.
Oh, it's so good. I also saw it once, wasn't a fan, but then have returned to it. I think you would like it. It's so funny. But anyway, Catherine O'Hara's character in an episode referred to something as safansifying, and I cracked up thinking this was a made-up word, but it's actually a real word. Have you ever heard it?
Safansifying? No, what is it?
It means satisfying or satiating, like especially as relating to appetite.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a quiz for me? I quizzed you last week.
I do.
And on what did I quiz you on? I just asked you some vocabulary words.
Yeah.
And now you're coming back. Apparently you were rosenating about that all week.
I rosenated. Yeah, but mine is related to children, so I win. And it's also a news story, so I think I should just play the news theme, right? I mean, it's early.
Let's talk a little bit.
All right. Oh, well, so was that just a tease for later in the show?
That was a tease.
When we're going to get to, I'm going to quiz you on something. So, Greg, I was reading, speaking of news, I have some outside of parenting news, hence I'm not going to play the news theme. I was reading an article in a magazine on my phone, and it was in Reason magazine, which I believe has a political bent to it. I believe it's a libertarian magazine. So they have an agenda. But it was saying that despite what the officials say, it appears that that quarantine is lifting. Like people are just reaching their limit and they're just doing what they want essentially. And they based this on business at gas stations, which was down, I want to say 13%. I want to say it. I don't know if that's accurate. It could be 16%. And now it's only down 6%. So they're saying, look, people are getting gas. They're using their cars. And also based on Foursquare, which I didn't know people were still using, Foursquare logins, which tracks where people go. And then MapQuest searches. Like people are searching things that are far, not just in their neighborhood. So they think people are now traveling via car again. I don't know. What do you think?
When's the last time you filled the tank on your car?
Before quarantine.
Yeah, same with me. And I have a half a tank. Ran out
same.
of windshield wiper fluid. I'm running
really?
out of windshield wiper fluid before I'm running out of gas. Because it's pollen season out here in LA. Mm-hmm. So every time I get in my car to drive my literally 1.2 miles from my house to my office, I do the windshield wiper fluid. And don't you hate when people do that on the highway, by the way?
Okay.
When you're behind a car and they start fucking cleaning their windows?
I never knew until a few years ago that is a classic dick move. So I was the highway dick, unaware. Now I Rosenate about it, and I'm very careful to only do it when there's no other cars around. I didn't realize you're spraying everyone with your dirty windshield fluid.
You're spitting. Your car is spitting.
And especially your car should wear a mask.
Yes.
Especially now.
That would be funny, actually, because you know how Puerto Ricans always put those leather masks on the front of their
I think it's called
Honda
a bra.
Civics?
I think
Yeah.
it's called a bra, actually,
Yeah.
a car bra, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
think
should
that
put masks on. Oh,
we
that's
should
a
put
good
masks
idea.
on our cars.
Car humor. Not enough car humor these days. Remember
This is-
for Lyft was putting those mustaches on at the beginning?
Yeah.
But they don't do that anymore.
It was humiliating to the drivers. It's hard enough knowing that there's a chance you're going to pick up a former coworker or an ex-girlfriend
Right.
while driving a Lyft. You don't need a fucking mustache on your car.
So to go back to this story, here's what I'm wondering. Are people really putting gas in their cars and resuming their old activities, or is it that people are having things delivered so much more? I mean, I don't know if that could account for it nationwide.
That's true. I don't know, but I think that people are definitely hitting the wall. I know that my kids are going out. We're giving them a little more space. My daughter skateboards with a few friends, and I just figure they're on skateboards. How close do you get to each other when you're on skateboards?
Right.
And
are they wearing masks?
Yeah, they wear masks. And then my son will go out with a friend, and they'll take a walk on the beach. You know, it's like first of all, from what I've read, you get it 99% of the time indoors. Mm-hmm. You don't really catch it outside.
Right.
So I don't sweat it if they're going to go outside and do something. And it's a couple days a week, so whatever.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. Like, there's how I feel emotionally, there's how I feel intellectually, and then there's sort of what I know and what I don't know based on what I'm reading. Emotionally, I feel like I'm ready to be done. But then also emotionally, I'm sorry, this is getting very crazy. Also emotionally, I'm afraid, though, of giving in to the urge to be done if we're not really ready yet to be done with the sheltering in place, you know? And also a sort of a scary thought is there's no evidence, apparently, that the antibodies provide immunity.
That's right.
So that means that a vaccine is not going to work. Right?
I
This
don't
is
know. Those are
science talk
two different things. Those
with
are two
people who
different things.
Don't know. Is it? Are they?
Yeah. One is assuming that whatever antibodies your body forms to fight against the virus are going to be the same as the antivirus that's designed by scientists.
Yes, that's true. Like they could create a much more concentrated version or something like that.
Yeah. But no,
That's
but
the
I'm
hope.
you know what I'm really I feel very mixed. I did a type of therapy that was called dialectical behavioral therapy, which says that you can carry two different emotions or two different thoughts at the same time. They can coexist. And right now, part of that is I can't wait to get back out in the world and have everything be normal. And there's another part of me that says I'm really enjoying this sort of lack of pressure, lack of FOMO, quality time with the family. And so you, instead of feeling stressed that you're not feeling one or the other, you can just say both these things are going on. And I think that right now I'm realizing, like, my son's at college. He may not move back to LA after college. Who knows? And so I think he probably will eventually. But, you know, this is like 100 or 95% of the time being in a house with the two kids. And I'm really kind of cherishing that. And it's challenging my ability to be truly vulnerable with my family at times.
Explain.
Well, I don't want to look back on it and say, why wasn't I playing more chess with my son? Why wasn't I, making my daughter do crossword puzzles with me? Like, instead of like bumping into each other in the hallway and watching movies at night and doing more passive things. And this could be a time you look back on and say, this was, like, family-wise, the greatest time of our lives.
I know. And I have moments too where I already imagine the nostalgia I'll feel for it. And it's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. It's good to keep that in mind, because I mentioned last week that Elliot has become just such an adorable nightmare, right? With his like, what do you mean? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think I also at one point touted that I feel like I finally, like, I'm leaning into just being on baby time, and I'll sit there with Owen and I'll just play with a toy back and forth. This morning, Elliot took my phone out of my hands and, like, moved it away just to make me pay attention to him, which is a good reminder that I was on my phone too much. Yeah. But anyway, the new thing he's doing, it's like his imagination has just burst open, and it's so fun to watch. He's very he wants you to tell him a story, but he's like, tell me a story. But what it means is he tells the story. So you start once upon a time, and they'll be like, there was a baby who was crying. Because he wanted to go to an restaurant. That's how he says restaurant. So then he tells the story. But then throughout it, he yells at you, tell me a story, mommy. Tell the story, mommy. Even though, and you'll be like, I am telling you the story. Tell me the story. It's like he's like shooting at your feet with a gun saying, dance, motherfucker. And you are dancing. So it's very hard not, like, I've heard Daniel go, I am. It's hard not to get frustrated when he's telling you in an angry little voice to do the thing that you are doing. So it's like, it's trying.
You want to have kids. Mm-hmm. You go through all this artificial insemination, and then you get them, and you realize, I don't want them all the time. I want them most of the time.
Yeah. I think, well, this is a thing we'd never really talked about. And I wonder if other people with kids feel it. Sometimes I think it's the wanting of kids and the happiness that you have from kids sometimes is conceptual more than in every single moment. Like, I would rather be on my phone or taking a nap or letting my mind wander or just being by myself sometimes. I do not love being on call all the time, but I'm really happy that I have my kids and I really love them. I just am, like, burned out at this point.
No, it's why it's very hard to hang out with people that don't have kids. You got to be really careful that you don't start bitching too much, because then they finally go like, well, why do you have the kids? And you're like, no, I love my kids.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's the best.
Yeah.
I know. And especially, I worried about that, especially because I talked on the show about doing IVF for so long and, like, how much I yearned to have children. So then when I got pregnant and I didn't love pregnancy, I felt like I'm going to be called out for now bitching about it. But thankfully people seem to understand. I mean, that's kind of what you're talking about. You can be of two minds. You can be so grateful you're pregnant and also so sick of being pregnant.
Yeah, right. Oh, I've done every type of therapy. Don't kid yourself, Alison Rosen. I've done DBT. I've done CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. I've done transcranial magnetic stimulation therapy. I've done Freudian therapy. I've done.
So have you done actual? If you did Freudian, did you do analysis?
No, it was Freudian based.
Okay.
So it was a lot of like looking at dreams and looking at your mother, your relationship with your mother. There was a lot of that.
Did you lay down on a couch?
I did.
Oh, really? Okay. That's traditional.
I did adult children of alcoholics.
Did that
I've
help
done
you?
it all.
What did you like the best? Or what helped you the most?
I liked Sheila. I had Sheila was my therapist in New York, and she was about my age. I was like 28, and she was smoking hot, and she used to wear skirts, and she'd sit across from me, and I swear to God, I was so aroused the entire time. She looked like a young, beautiful Meryl Streep, and super sophisticated, and we used to talk about foreign films and books, and then when I would go home, we would walk to the subway together. We would take the subway downtown from the Upper East Side. And then she came to one of my shows one time. Totally unethical. Unacceptable.
This sounds, that's what I'm thinking as I'm hearing this.
Yeah. But
how was the walk? Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
How was the what?
How was the walk to the subway? Because I have always found bumping into a therapist in the elevator on the way, in the hall to the appointment, all of that is just awkward because I try so hard to respect that, like, we're not on the clock now. So I'm just going to make painfully small talk because I'm going to wait till we get in there to have a conversation. And it becomes very like just self-conscious.
Yeah, I would say it was awkward in an erotic kind of a way. And I think that I remember being in therapy and she would say, "What are you feeling right now?" And I would say, "I feel like I really want to have sex with you." And then she would blush and she would say, "That's not going to happen." But I always felt like if I had actually got up and walked over to her, it might have happened.
Do you feel like you got a lot out of this therapy aside from the fun of the flirtation?
Very little.
Yeah, because I'm hearing all this stuff and like, were you comfortable being emotionally naked with her? In a non-seductive way?
I think I was probably a little bit more like I had on my sharkskin suit, you know?
Right.
I was a predator.
I have only ever had female therapists, except for my psychiatrist right now is a man. But I see him very rarely because he's just too expensive. And I feel like I don't need to check it. I should see him more often. But anyway, by design, I've never really wanted a male therapist because I've always been worried that what if I developed a crush on them?
Yeah.
Because I have that propensity to do that. Like, oh my God, person in power who is totally listening to me and also is attractive and unavailable. Now I'm intrigued. That's like an old pattern for me.
Yeah, and you're paying them, so they owe you one.
When
you have sex with them, they're performing oral before you are, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're stepping up to the plate first.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. Maybe you go, "I'm good."
Maybe it's just on the house.
That's right. A la carte.
But of all the other forms of therapy, like, was there one that stood out as more helpful than the others? Sometimes it can be a mix.
There's a woman who did cognitive behavioral therapy that I think if you really want the most effective meat and potatoes, fast therapy, CBT is the way to go. And there's a really good book called Being Happy. And you read that and you go to a behavioral therapist. You basically just learn that when I think this, it could be one of a number of things that you learn that are patterns, you know, and it could be negative thinking. It can be all or nothing thinking. There's all these different patterns that your mind goes into, and you recognize it and you release from it, and it stops the anxiety and the stress a lot. So I would highly recommend that if somebody's looking into therapy for the first time, or whatever they're trying isn't working. Find someone who's strictly CBT, and you might have good results.
Right. You know what I would recommend highly?
What?
Policy Genius. As an insurance marketplace, Policy Genius talks a lot about how unpredictable the future is. That's why insurance exists in the first place. Right now, life is unpredictable and scary, but there's enough brands out there telling you how we're all in this together. Instead, here's Policy Genius's top 3 unpredictably positive things from April. Thousands of dogs and cats across America have found new homes. Everyone is a baker now, and fresh bread is the best smell ever. And people across the world are acting with kindness, compassion, and heroism. Policy Genius is an insurance marketplace, and there's a big demand for life insurance right now. So if you're looking to get life insurance, here's how they can help. Policy Genius compares quotes from the top life insurance companies in one place. It takes just a few minutes to compare quotes from the top insurers to find your best price. This doesn't just save you a lot of legwork. You could save $1,500 or more a year by using Policy Genius to compare life insurance policies. Once you apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all the paperwork and red tape for free. They're in contact with the life insurance companies every day, monitoring developments and helping customers navigate every step. So if you're one of the many people looking to buy life insurance right now, but you're not sure where to start, head to policygenius.com. Policy Genius will find you the best rate and handle the process completely. You can stop worrying about life insurance and get back to baking your own bread, adopting a furry friend, or just being a kind and considerate human. Have you been baking bread at all?
My daughter's been baking everything. She's baking cakes, cupcakes, banana bread. It's great. It's Irish soda bread, doing it all.
Hey, aren't you guys going to Ireland? Or weren't you going to?
That was such a funny transition. Hey.
I actually sounded like, that's how Elliot starts questions. He's rubbing off on me, or he got it from me.
I felt like I was walking down the street and you were on the other side of the street. Hey! Were you going to Ireland?
Well, there was no lag between when it hit my brain and when it came out of my mouth.
Right.
But what's happening with your Ireland trip?
Well, our tickets were canceled. The airline canceled our tickets. So now, and I think I read in the paper yesterday that the Great Britain, which I don't know if that includes the Irish Republic. That's just Northern Ireland. But I don't know if Ireland will follow suit. But they're calling for a 2-week, what do you call it? 2-week moratorium when you go somewhere and you got to quarantine.
Oh.
So if we went there for a 3-week vacation, we'd have to spend 2 weeks alone in a house, not going outside. So no, it's supposed to happen the first week of August. I don't think that it is. And it's devastating. I mean, look, no, devastating is somebody dying of the coronavirus.
Very disappointing.
It's very disappointing.
Yes.
So is somebody dying of the coronavirus. I mean, it's a lot of disappointment.
If you, especially, imagine you were planning to go on a trip with them to Ireland, then it's a 1-2 punch of disappointment and devastation.
Especially if they say, I still want to go.
Yeah.
And you have to bring their dead body to Ireland.
Yeah, it was their final. Could you listen, everyone who's on?
I guess you could cremate them. You could cremate them and bring them over and sprinkle their ashes in the ring of Kerry.
I think a kind thing to do to your loved ones is to not make your dying wish something that's going to inconvenience them a lot.
No, but there's been movies where somebody wants their ashes sprinkled somewhere special, and then it becomes like a pilgrimage for the family. It's basically the plot line of William Faulkner's As I Lay Dying. Remember, the grandmother wants to be buried in her hometown in Missouri, and so they have a stagecoach, and they strap the grandmother to the roof of the stagecoach, and they start driving to this town, and then
like vacation.
Then the birds come and they start eating the body. They start attacking the body on the roof of the thing. But the point is, the book was told from each chapter was a different narrator. Like the father really just wanted to go there, but it was really because that was the only place that was a dentist and he needed his teeth fixed. And there was a daughter who had a guy that she liked who was in the town, so that's why she wanted to go. So it can be a journey for everybody.
I'm now wondering, when you first said As I Lay Dying, I was like, oh no, I didn't. I did read Faulkner, but I didn't read that one. But now I'm wondering if I did read that one. If I did, the whole plot went over my head because I don't know what I was paying attention to at that point in college, but it was some guy and it certainly wasn't that book. Or did Faulkner write a lot of books that had that split point of view?
They call it Cubist. It's a Cubist style of writing. And yes, he did.
What are the other big Faulkner ones? There's Absalom, which I know I didn't read.
Yeah, Absalom. I can't remember. I was an English major and I can't remember.
I was an English major and I can't remember. So whatever one I read, but As I Lay Down, would you recommend As I Lay Down?
Yeah. It's fantastic. And it's very accessible. Like
that's
my kids,
my question. Then that's not the one I read.
My kids are always very like, they're not into books as much. It really disappoints me because I think that's the only way you get intelligent is to read a lot of books. I guess there's other ways, but, it's a good way. Especially if you want to communicate in the workforce, you want to write. To be a good writer, you have to be a good reader.
I read The Sound and the Fury.
Yeah.
Also, don't remember the plot of that one.
That one was it was a family down south, and it was on like a slave plantation or like Reconstruction. It was like post-slave plantation, and it was told from the point of view of a bunch of kids, and. Yeah, it was a little more political.
I need to reread that. That's what I'm going to do one of these days. I probably even still have the book somewhere. Greg, should we do some news?
Yeah.
Okay.
Time for the news.
Okay, so my news is fun, and it's a fun quiz. So let's do your boring news first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get our nutritious news out of the way, and then we'll do my fun news.
Okay, nutritious news is that the National Institute of Mental Health researchers have investigated how temperament shapes adult life outcomes. Have shapes the adult life course outcomes. They found that behavior inhibition in infancy predicts a reserved, introverted personality by age 26. They're saying basically whatever your temperament is as a little kid, they found direct links to how your personality is as an adult, which is something people always wonder about,
Yeah.
And they say that individuals who show sensitivity to making errors in adolescence, the findings indicated a higher risk for internalizing disorders such as anxiety and depression in adulthood. The study provides robust evidence of the impact of infant temperament on adult outcomes, even as young as infants.
That's so interesting. I'm trying to think what that means for my kids. So, because Owen, and I don't know if this is a second kid thing, but he is really independent and he can he'll wake up from his nap and he'll be in his crib and he just plays in his crib for a while. Whereas Elliot really, and I mean, still, like the story I told earlier, still really needs a lot of interaction.
Yeah, right.
And I imagine that would continue.
Oh, I can tell you, Owen he was a mama's boy to begin with, still a mama's boy. He could not be put down as a baby.
Right.
Literally, like we had a nanny and we had to stay home with the nanny because he would only cry if it wasn't me or Aaron holding him. Right. Very sensitive kid. He could only wear certain shirts. They had to be soft. They had to be the right fit. He was very particular. This was a very young kid. Very social, outgoing, sweet. His personality, like to a T, but he was very sensitive and he has those sensitivities. And then my daughter, unbelievably self-sufficient at a young age. Her first words were, "All be self." She does everything all by herself. And she's still that way today. She's still, she's a loving part of the family, but she doesn't want help doing things. She doesn't want to be told how to bake something or how to paint something. She just figures it out. And she does figure it out.
Right. Interesting. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense, I guess, that who you are as an infant persists.
Yeah. What's your fun news?
My fun news. Okay. So you quizzed me last week on some words, and I thought I would quiz you on the most popular baby names so far of 2020. So this is from The Bump, and they have tallied the most popular baby names so far of 2020. I've got 10 boy names and 10 girl names. How many do you think you can get?
I think I can get half, 50%.
So you think you can guess 10 names altogether?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Here we go.
All right. For girls, Alison is definitely in the top 10.
I'm sorry, that is wrong.
Emily.
I'm sorry, that's also wrong.
Catherine. Ashley. Michelle.
That is also incorrect.
Dana.
Nope.
Erin.
No. Are you even trying, Greg?
I was trying. So I got 0 out of 10?
Yeah. You have gotten 0 so far.
Okay. Let's go for the boys.
Okay. I was going to give you some hints, but we'll go for the boys next, and then I'll give you hints.
No, tell me the girls' answers now.
Okay.
Now, tell me now. Tell the story now.
I'm telling you. Okay. This is in reverse order. Eleanor, Eloise.
What? Eleanor?
Yeah. I'm telling
That's
you.
like from the 1930s.
They're coming. Those are the names that are coming back.
Oh, my God.
I know so many Eleanors.
That's crazy.
So many Eleanors. Eloise.
That's another one.
Ophelia.
Wait, how do they spell Eloise? With an H or an E?
Eloise.
Because there used to be an advice column, Dear Heloise, who was spelled
Oh,
Eat.
right. Yeah.
And that was Ann Landers, the other advice columnist. That was her sister.
I
Nobody
love
ever
that.
knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ophelia, Charlotte.
What?
Oh, I know. I don't know any Ophelias. That's one that
No.
I don't know. That's Shakespearean.
It's also something that the kids in 8th grade are going to make fun of. Once she gets to second base with somebody, it's going to be, I feel ya.
Charlotte. That I know. I know some Charlottes.
I knew 2 Charlottes. One was the first girl I asked out in my life who said,
No.
no. She
how did
said,
she say it?
in fact, I would rather not be your girlfriend. It was like 7th or 8th grade. And we were at the Tarrytown Lakes where there was this lake that we all skated. I grew up in New York, and there was this lake, and it was actually the reservoir for New York City. And we would they had big floodlights. They had telephone poles that they put around about half of the lake with these floodlights. And then they had speakers up on the telephone poles too. And they played AM radio, songs like Helen Reddy and My Baby Takes the Morning Train. He works from 9 till 5 and then... Remember that song?
Yes, I do. But was it Helen Reddy, I Am Woman? Like, what Helen Reddy did they play? Because that's the only one I know.
I Am Woman.
Okay.
I Am Woman. Little Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, my God. I love it.
Some Bee Gees. And so anyway, we would play hockey all day. And then we go home, have some dinner. And then we come back at night. And we'll have hidden like a case of beers in the snow. It was like 7th and 8th grade. And we would drink a couple beers. And we would chase the girls around. And so my friends there was like a group of guys, and it was a group of girls. And all my friends had like paired up with different girls. Mm-hmm. And it was like me and this girl, Charlotte, were like the last 2 that weren't paired up. And I liked her. She had white hair, like white, curly, beautiful, big hair, blue eyes, real cute. And so everybody knew I was going to ask her out. So we're all standing in a group.
Oh,
and then all of a sudden, everybody just skates away. And they just leave me and her. And, the wind is blowing. And so, the snow goes into little tornadoes.
Sure. Yeah.
And
very picturesque.
Very picturesque. In the background, Elton John's Saturday Night Is All Right for Fighting is playing through the speaker. And I'm standing there and I go, so, Charlotte, do you want to go out with me? And she goes, no. And everybody was gone, so we just stood there. We didn't know what to do.
Oh,
so there was
God.
like this long period of like standing. Oh, God. And then the other Charlotte was a Danish girl who came to New York to visit. And me and my friend Sneaky Pete had a three-way with her. So,
Right, the good and the bad.
the good and the bad.
Whatever happened to Sneaky Pete?
Gay.
Was there any indication from your Devil's Three-Way?
No, he kept his eye on the prize. He didn't wander.
But you were the prize, probably.
I think, looking back, I think I was.
Okay. Ava. I know some Avas.
Wasn't that Hitler's girlfriend?
That was Ava. Yes, but this is AVA.
Yeah, same
she
thing.
She was EVA.
You
Ava
sure?
Braun. Ava Braun. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But still, but there's also Evas, EVA. I mean,
Well,
you don't see a lot of Adolfs these days, but you do see Avas and Evas.
There was the Gabor sisters. Remember back in the
Yeah.
60s?
Jaja.
Eva, Ava, and Jaja.
There was an Eva and an Ava?
Eva and an Ava.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Olivia. Certainly you know young Olivia is, right?
Mike Gibbons' daughter is Olivia.
There you go. Now, number 3, Maeve. That
Beautiful.
You are so Irish. Do you watch Westworld? Because there's a Maeve on Westworld.
I should try it.
It gives your brain a workout, but it's good. 2, Aurora. That's like a Disney
Ooh, I like
name.
that.
Yeah.
Aurora.
And then number 1, Luna.
No, fuck. Wait, is this for female dogs?
I do know
Here,
of someone
Luna.
who just named their dog Luna. Chrissy Teigen has a Luna, and they are citing her as the reason that name is so popular.
It's also the roots, the Latin root for crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Luna means the moon, but it also is the like lunatic.
Oh my God, I never
Lunacy.
even thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right, Greg, you did horribly. Would you
Yeah,
like
but I had great stories to go with all my wrong answers.
that actually is more important.
Yes.
Okay, and then top 10 names for boys.
Okay.
Think outside the box.
Well, now I have to. I got to think about old names. Elliot,
No.
Philip,
No.
Elon,
No.
Kyle,
No. Kyle.
Benjamin,
I'm actually surprised that that's not on there, but no.
Michael,
No.
Thomas,
No.
Owen,
No.
Elliot,
You already did, Elliot.
Greg.
Do you know anyone with babies? What have they named them?
Tough question when you're the host of Childish.
I know.
I don't. All right, so give them to me.
Okay. Leo. Number 10. Arlo. You know, the crazy thing about Arlo being so
Arlo.
popular is I remember when I was trying to come up with names for Elliot, all of a sudden the name Arlo popped into my head. And I'm like, I kind of like the name Arlo. And you don't hear of many Arlos. I don't know any Arlos other than like Woody Guthrie's son. And there was a band called Arlo. And we didn't go with it. But then I was like, oh, I'm kind of glad we didn't because I know so many babies named Arlo. What I'm saying is everyone all at once, I feel like, has this thought, thinks they're choosing an original name, but you are a product of the time and place you live in.
Well, was the poll only taken in Williamsburg, Brooklyn?
No.
These are like hipster names. First of all, Arlo, yeah, that's the only Arlo I know was Woody Guthrie's son, which also makes me think of like James Taylor had a brother, remember, who also did folk music.
Oh, who was it?
I can't remember his name, but like you realize like you can only like folk music so much. Like obviously Woody Guthrie is probably like the one of the pillars of folk music. And you love him until you hear Arlo Guthrie, and then you go, I don't think I like Woody that much anymore. And it's the same thing when you hear James Taylor's brother, is you go like, now I hate James Taylor.
This is the problem with ugly celebrity siblings.
Yeah.
Have you ever, like, you can look at a celebrity and be like, that person is beautiful. And then you see their sibling who has similar features, but somehow it doesn't all add up. And then you're like, well, now I think that you've taken away the beauty from your sibling.
Give me an
Just a little
example.
bit. No, it's too mean. And
It
also,
is
I don't
too
have
mean.
one. But in general, this whole thought pattern is too mean. Okay.
Well, I think you could just say the Baldwin brothers and leave it at that.
I will. Atticus. I know of an Atticus baby.
Really?
Jasper. Yes.
That also sounds like in 8th grade, you're going to be mocked in 8th grade. Like when you get to first base, they're going to say, hey, Atticus.
Okay, Jasper. I know
Yeah,
of
I
a
know
baby
Jasper.
who was. I can't remember who it is, but I feel that Jasper was just born. Theodore. Levi. Silas. I don't know any.
These are all very Old Testament sounding.
Yeah,
names.
I don't know any Silases. Oliver. I know just myriad Olivers. Asher.
Oh, that's so horrible. Asher sounds like a kid who goes to a kindergarten that costs $55,000 a year,
For sure he is.
and the kids design their own curriculum.
Yeah. And then Milo. I like the name Milo.
How do you spell it?
Milo.
Milo. What's the country of origin?
It doesn't say. I don't know, actually.
Greek?
It sounds like, well, you're thinking of Milo Yiannopoulos,
Yeah.
which it is the same name. Let's look it up. I'm going to look up the country of origin.
Okay.
Milo.
And I'm going to look up The Sound and the Fury, which was, in fact, told by multiple narrators. And it's about the Compson family, a bunch of Southerners dealing with the dissolution of their family and its reputation.
Okay, it's of Germanic origin. Milo is of uncertain derivation. It might be derived from the German mild, which is from the old German root milan, to mill, beat, crush, or rub until fine or tender. Alternately, it might be from the old Slavonic root milu, or merciful.
Huh. That's nice.
But then
Merciful.
I'm also seeing is the name Milo Italian, and then they explain why it's Italian. And then I'm seeing is the name Milo Irish, and they explain why it's Irish. So looks like a lot of people are claiming it. There you go. Greg, should we do some highs and lows?
Let's do it.
Okay. All
I like
right.
that one. Short and sweet.
In and out.
Yeah.
I'll start because I feel like you have started the last couple times. My high. This is short and sweet.
High.
Elliot wanted to draw me, and I looked down. I sat
Like
for a
draw and
portrait.
quarter you?
I mean, yes, but he just meant
Yeah.
with a pen.
Oh.
And he circled all the problem areas all over my body. Just kidding. I looked down after he drew me, and he put the eyes and the nose and the mouth and he drew everything it still looked like a child had drawn it, obviously, but suddenly everything is now in the right spot, which is not how it was, I don't know, a few days ago, because he went through this period where when he would draw someone, he would do eyes, and then he'd just like put 2 dots on the paper, and then nose and a dot and a mouth, and it was just a line. But it was very Picasso. Like they were all not in the correct, or Dali. They were not in the correct place. And now suddenly he's doing representational drawings, and it's just very exciting to sort of watch that happen.
That's
it's
awesome.
neat. Yeah. What about you?
I can remember artwork. We have framed artwork from when JoJo was little, and it is uncanny when you look at it. Like, I couldn't tell it from a Picasso. Like, they have this amazing ability
Right.
to do that type of, again, it's cubist. It's like looking at one thing from different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And there was such a balance to it with JoJo, not just with the figures, but with the colors. There was like a real balance that was completely unconscious that would come out.
Yeah.
It's
neat
amazing.
to watch.
Yeah. My high was there was an amazing thing that happened this week down on the shore. It's actually from Baja all the way up to Los Angeles. There is an influx of this single-celled plankton. Is it plankton? Yeah, plankton. And they give off a blue phosphorus.
Oh yeah, bioluminescence, right?
Bioluminescence. And so when they're in the water and they get scared by something like activity, they shine blue to scare off the intruder. So we went down to the beach and at like 11 o'clock at night, and my daughter went surfing with her friends, and we watched, and the waves, the ocean, it was a dark night. It was a dark and stormy night. And the sea was gray. The ocean was gray. And then a wave would break, it would crash, and all the foam turned bright blue. And it was shape-shifting, because you realize how currents come in off the ocean, and they're like coming across, and then you'd barely see a surfer. You couldn't even make him out, but you could see the trail of his blue. There was a blue trail of his board going behind it. And it was like a warm night out. And people were very much social distancing. There weren't a lot of people on the beach, but there were people out to watch it. And my daughter said she would like slap her arm in the water and her whole arm would like turn blue.
That's so cool.
And there were good waves and it was warm. And so, yeah, that was a really cool night.
I don't know how I haven't seen any pictures of this.
It doesn't photograph well.
Oh, because I was going to say you'd think it would be all over Instagram. I've just heard about it. I haven't actually seen pictures.
No, everybody tries to take pictures and it's so subtle. It doesn't pick up.
So my low.
Oh, boy.
Greg, I am sharing something that I feel vulnerable and sensitive about.
Okay.
Here it is. I have been doing keto for the last few weeks, and I've been doing really well. I've been exercising, and I've been like very controlled and very I've been because I do keto on and off. Keto is where you eat no carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are in a lot of things, so it's like a very well, for me, it becomes a very limited menu, but I'm sort of more comfortable with that. I have all sorts of food issues. But anyway, I have been like really, really doing well with it. There's been no slip ups. I've been like, I'm glad I went back to doing keto, However, I've also been making bread, because it was an activity that I did with Elliot, and then I had another packet of yeast. And then Daniel really likes the bread. So I haven't even tasted the bread I've made, but I've been enjoying making it. So anyway, and I've mentioned before that I have like a little bit of a middle of the night nibbling problem. But I've been, like I said, I hadn't had any slip ups or anything. So then at 2:30 in the morning, I slipped up. And how? Here's all the things I tried. Piece of bread with butter. It was so good. And then I'm like, you know what? I've already fucked up. Like I've already messed up being in ketosis. So I may as well now try all the other things that are in the house that I can't under normal circumstances. So then I had 2 cereal bars, only 100 calories each, but still. Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Cheerios cereal bars. They were really good. And then I had a little piece of chocolate. And then I had a handful of mini marshmallows, and then I had some Gardettos. just a handful, but still. And then I went to bed, and I slept really well. And I woke up in the morning, and I was like, "Oh my God!" So that was my low.
I hope you left all the wrappers out on the kitchen floor.
I actually didn't. But I have had times before where in the morning I'm like, "Oh my God!" and then it comes rushing back, like I ate that. No, I had like delivered the list of things to Daniel, like listen to what happened to me last night. But I didn't even remember the Gardettos. Do you know what Gardettos are? They're like these little. They're it's almost like a Chex Mix kind of thing, but just it's got different little bits of things. I didn't even remember the Gardettos until I opened the pantry like way later that day, and I saw the box, and I was like, oh man, there's Gardettos. Like that was in there too. So anyway. Yeah. So, yay for me.
Look, as everybody talks about with diets, is you're going to slip and you got to just like move on. But I mean, that really shows me something because like, I'm very fortunate. I never had any like food issues, but when I hear somebody talk about it, I've always like, as somebody who's an alcoholic, I've always understood that substances can be abused no matter what they are.
Right.
And that really is interesting to hear that you would be so good for that long and then you wouldn't have a small slip, but that you would really like the psychology of saying, well, I already fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm going to go all in. It's like when people break their sobriety, it turns into like a 3-day bender.
Right. And interestingly, because there's a lot of psychology that will say that diets don't work, it leads to binging, all that restriction is like it comes out somewhere else and it leads to binging. And when I was pregnant, I gained a shit ton of weight with both of my pregnancies, but my eating was never more quote unquote normal than when I was pregnant because I wasn't doing much restriction. I wasn't severely restricting. So there weren't any episodes of like, oh my God, I can't believe I ate all that. Whereas now, because I am trying to be really controlled, it did lead to this middle of the night, like binge, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, but I'm not thankfully I didn't really beat myself up over it. I just felt sort of like, oh man, why did I do that?
Yeah.
No,
all right. Well, good.
Thank you. You have treated this with the proper sensitivity. I appreciate it. What was your low?
My low started as a high.
Oh, wow.
As you know, me and my partner have been working on a television show to go out and sell.
I think I do know.
And we pitched it before the quarantine happened. We had pitch meetings at like 6 or 7 networks. We got to 3 of them before the quarantine shut down all the pitching. And then we didn't hear anything for like, a month. And then I get a call from my agent on last Monday, and he goes, we sold it. A network bought it.
Oh my God.
And we're so excited. We're like, this is great. And then 2 days later, my agent calls me and he goes, that network that bought your show, they just fired all the executives.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Now, the executive who was championing our show is still there.
Oh.
But the bosses who he had pitched it to and ultimately are the ones that signed the check, they're gone. So we still have a chance, but it was sold and then died in 2 days.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And we'd worked on it for like 6 months.
That is a bummer. But well, given that you've been in this industry for a while, what do you think is going to happen?
I have no idea. I mean, you never know. I mean, I really believe in the idea, and we got good feedback from the other 2 places we went. One of them said they probably would have bought it, except they then froze all their buying because of the quarantine. So part of me just feels like we'll probably have to wait until this thing has quieted and you can start to go in and pitch things again, and then just go repitch it to the new people.
Well, I will keep my fingers crossed for you.
Please.
I am forgetting which project it is, so you can tell me as soon as we're done.
Okay.
But is it one that could be done during quarantine? No, right?
No.
You have to wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the guy gal who believes in it is still there.
I know. And he's pretty high up. So who knows? He may be able to push it through.
Right.
My agent didn't seem too concerned. He seems to think we have some chance.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Greg, should we take a voicemail or two?
Let's do a voicemail.
Okay.
You rang.
Hey, Greg and Alison. I am an uncle to a niece and nephew, and I do a pretty good job of keeping them entertained and having a good time hanging out. But I'm wondering, how can I make sure that I'm a good uncle to my sisters, who are the parents? I don't know. Maybe there's something that a sibling of yours did that helped out along the way, and I'm just curious to know. Thanks.
That's such a sweet question. honestly, when my sister comes over, the thing that she does that helps me the most is distracts or occupies my kids so that I can do something if there's something I need to do. So I think just the way to support your sister or sisters, is just be available and ask if they need help with anything. What do you think?
I think you got to try to be crazy. Everybody needs a crazy uncle. You know, the guy that's going to drive a little bit fast when you're in the car, who's going to wrestle harder than the parents wrestle. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't want an uncle who's a little too physical, but
no handsiness.
In a safe, non-handsy way, to be the guy that will play sports with you. And if it's a girl, I guess, then, same thing. You can still just rev up the energy because you're not there all the time. So when you do see them at Christmas or on visits, they should get so excited that you're showing up that they're jumping out of their shoes.
Yeah, I mean, you can be the cool version of their parents.
Yes.
Like their parents, but cool. All right.
And tell them little things about their parent that they didn't know. Not a lot, but give them a little hint.
It's a breadcrumb.
Little breadcrumb.
Yeah. Okay, we got another one.
Hi, Alison and Greg. My name is Colby, and I live in western South Dakota. My husband and I have been married for just over a year and have been together for almost 7 years. I will be 28 next week, and we have been talking about trying to start a family around this time since long before the COVID-19 situation. At this time, the virus has a very low presence here, and so our lives have not been affected a whole lot so far in comparison to the rest of the world. But there is definitely a fear of the future and concern for how life is going to change in the aftermath of all of this. But at the same time, there is always going to be something awful going on in the world. So I don't think there's necessarily a reason we should alter our plans. But just wondering what your thoughts are on purposely trying to conceive during these crazy times. Anyway, I love the show. I've been listening since the beginning thanks to Alison's show and have been loving every episode. I'm sure I will just grow to love it even more when I'm hopefully a parent myself someday. Thanks so much.
You will, Colby. You will continue to love it.
First of all, can I just say you can always tell where somebody lives by the duration of their message? Like someone from New York is like, yo, should we fuck? She's from western South Dakota. It's like, well, when I was an 11, I was a Girl Scout, and then...
it all started way back when. I think go ahead, build your family. I hope that's not irresponsible. Yeah, it's not like you're going to get pregnant and then your kid's going to be here tomorrow. The way I have
they'll be
learned
here
about
for the
it.
second wave.
Well, so here's the argument against it. You get pregnant and then you have to go to a bunch of doctor's appointments because that is how it works. So you are going to have to go into medical establishments, which is, theoretically exposing you more. That being said, and I have been very conservative with my lockdown. I still say go ahead, try to get pregnant. I don't think you need to hold up your life that much because of what's going on. People will find a way to make it work.
Well, first of all, I don't, like she said, she's in western. I don't know why we need it specifically western. South Dakota is pretty small, but there's very little COVID there, so I imagine. And then also, pediatric offices are generally not like in emergency rooms. I think
this is true.
It's pretty safe. And,
right, but I mean, she's going to be going to the OBGYN, but I feel like that also is separate from any COVID activity.
Yeah, so I say go for it. I'd be surprised if we didn't have a very high birth rate starting in, when did this start? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Wow, Christmas babies. There's going to be a lot of Christmas babies.
We were supposed to do our post-pandemic predictions.
Right.
Next time.
Okay, next time.
Because remember, you and I were, I'm sorry. I love how dramatic that tease became next week on all new Childish.
I think we need to tease more. Next week on Childish, Alison reveals whether or not panty liners work during spotting
Periods?
time. During periods.
Spotting time. On next week on Spotting Time.
That sounds like a cartoon for adult women.
It does. It really does. Oh my God. I, embarrassingly enough, fell down a rabbit hole. So we're on YouTube now. YouTube.com/Alison Rosen is where you can find the Childish videos. Will we start next week on Childish? Will we start our own YouTube channel for the Childish videos? Maybe. But anyway, go see us. I put on makeup and everything. Greg looks great. Come watch us. Please leave comments, rate them, etc. But anyway, so I've been spending more time on YouTube, and I'm usually not that really not into YouTubers very much, but there's a woman named Angie Hot and Flashy. Daniel was like mocking me when she's like, hey, it's Angie from Hot and Flashy. But anyway, she makes videos for mature women in their hot flash times. So she calls herself Hot and Flashy. And really all it is like a lot of advice on makeup and other stuff. And she's really personable and I like her, but I am laughing at myself for watching this Hot and Flashy thing.
Wow. Yeah, my wife's a little hot and flashy these days.
How old is she? Does she reveal that?
She's
Don't
54.
say it if it's... Okay.
54.
When did she start...
It's like sleeping in a brick oven pizza oven.
When did she start getting hot and flashy?
Just in the last year.
Because I had this crazy never-ending period, and then I was feeling warm a little bit, and I started to think, oh my God, am I...
No, you're really young for that.
I'm young for it, but I started thinking, could I be in like, there's what they call perimenopause, which is the years leading up to it. Like, could I be there? I'm hoping it was just a one-time thing.
I think you're just peri-Jewish. Jewish women seem to get hot flashes at any time in their lives.
Well, I'm not going to disagree. Greg, I think we've done it again. But I think
have we?
We have, but I should give out the number if you want to call and get just a little bit of this shared genius. It's 805-317-4243. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We put out a question every Friday and then we read your answers. And that's at ChildishPod on Twitter, at ChildishPod on Instagram. Keep those comments coming on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen. The reviews and the comments and everything, they help out the show so much. Greg.
I would love to plug my new Sunday Papers podcast, the Sunday Paper Podcast with Mike Gibbons. He is also my best friend from college, and he's a Emmy Award-winning writer, show creator, and we read the Sunday newspaper, and we kind of make sense of it, make fun of it, and you can watch it, and you can listen to it. Download that. And then Fitzdog Radio. Don't forget also, send a friend a cameo, especially Mother's Day is coming up. I'll read a cameo to your wife or your mom.
Now when you say you can watch it,
you can watch the clips. Yeah, we just put up clips.
I'm also on Cameo. I've been doing more cameos lately. I've been missing it. Yeah, it's pretty fun. And listen to my podcast, Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. Comes out Mondays and Thursdays. And I was gonna say, and listen to my other podcast that I do with Greg Fitzsimmons called Childish, but I feel like I've already covered that. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Alison Rosen and AlisonRosen.com for all your other. I have a book out. Greg and I both have books out. Read our books if you haven't already.
Yeah, it's good quarantine reading.
That's right. We have done it again, Greg.
We've done it again, Alison. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Same.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
And I miss seeing your boys. I can't wait till we're together again and I can play with them a little bit. I'm hearing all the cuteness and I'm not seeing it.
I know there is some cuteness happening in the background. Yeah. Do you remember how we end the show?
I'm Greg Fitzsimmons.
And I'm Alison.
And we are Childish.